is a unit that's been constructed here in King Garvey to demonstrate what we're getting for our $1 million to be paid off within 10 years at the rate of $5 million a year with a final balloon payment of $50 million. Well, the model's closed. If it were open, you could see it has floor tile, has carpet, it has appliances, it has a paint job, nice fixtures in the bathroom. The asbestos is right where it's always been, it's sealed over, and that's it.
What's this address? The address to the building itself.
1355 Steiner. Quite frankly, I don't know if there's one or two. Mrs. Joppins is over there. And this apartment used to belong to Bartholomew and Yates in the town. And they had used it as a demo model so that all the shareholders could come in. We offered donuts and the opportunity.
I've had some of those donuts.
Yeah. And the opportunity to see the unit.
Days, date, time. Step back.
August, let's see.
18th.
2009. I'm Sharon Jones. I live in the apartment upstairs there that's screened in, and I forgot to give them credit for having redone the patio. Of course, now if you come into your living room and you're in your robe or something, you'll be in plain view of all your neighbors, because I think it's better if that were up a little higher, if they were going to do a patio like that. Also, it allows all the little cats and dogs in the neighborhood to crawl underneath,
right.
Birds.
Right.
And there's some other little faulty designs with it. And it's great for putting bird nests in. And we have problems every once in a while with pigeon infestation, and I think they're going to find out it's just a wonderful place to be. However,
okay.
Get maybe $3.5 million a year in income, and so they have pointed out where there's some problems, and you have to be careful walking for fear that you might trip or fall. The paint's worn. You can see over here, we're getting a lot of money worth when it comes to our landscaping. We spend $3,000 a month getting landscaping. You can see it here. You can see it there. You can certainly see it behind me. And over there, all the wonderful landscaping. The marvelous landscaping over here. And the jutting pipe that shouldn't be out there in front of God and everyone has a hazard that you could trip on if you ever got off the sidewalk, which sometimes our kids riding around on bicycles might.
May even fall on it, huh?
Yeah, could get themselves impaled on it. But again, we spend $3,000 a month having this marvelous landscaping. I like the dandelions, don't you? And we've been doing that the entire century. We've been paying $3,000 a month for our landscaping. Well, certainly it does leave a little something to be desired. So in the new plan for rehabbing and refinancing King Garvey, they're going to include $2 million a block for landscaping.
But we're paying a big penny right now.
Oh,
that could have taken care of it already, huh?
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow we don't get our money's worth. I don't know why they think that if we spend $2 million a block, that we'll get more money of our money's worth than we've been getting all along, because it seems to me that you can tell by the fences, they let them fall and go into disarray, and they don't, a board would be all that's needed to replace here and there, but no, they're going to replace them with plastic fencing.
Who does the landscaping?
D&H Landscaping, I believe, is the company.
Okay.
They're the same ones who brought that lovely dirt and put it out there.
And that's it?
Yeah. I didn't see any seeds planted or any grass planted, but when they got done building the model unit porch, they were invited to put a little dirt down, which they did. I'm very proud of them for that. It's the nicest dirt we've had around here for quite a while. It's a lot better than the dirt we have over here, which is very sandy. Anyway, I'm about to walk over this way.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, here we're still in front of the model unit at 1355 Steiner. We're on the back side of the row of townhouses along Ellis Street between Steiner and Pierce. And here is some more of our landscaping. And you can see there's a little more yellow paint marking areas that one day somebody will do something about. They put new pavement there, new concrete, but they just decided to leave it at that little patch and not do the rest of it. So they put a little sign up saying one day they'll deal with it, but be careful in the meantime. I don't know how many years it's been, but you see the paint's faded. This paint, this board, of course, could be replaced. A little piece of wood would do fine for another 10 years. It's been here since 72, and it's lasted this well. So surely another board would get us through to the mortgage payoff date, but we'll leave that aside.
Okay.
We spend only, as I say, only $3,000 a month, and we get these lovely flowers planted right here for us. And this marvelous landscaping. $3,000 a month, it's a bargain at any price, but we get it. I know people sit out and watch it and they feel wonderful. Don't you just feel like, I live in a wonderful place, all my money's going to good causes. The problems over here, they haven't gotten around to addressing. I don't believe the foundation work is in their plan. I may be mistaken, but as I understand the plan, they'll replace the siding and the roofs and the windows and the doors, but they're not doing much about foundation. But if you get a little area that's open like that, they'll put some dirt in there and make it even, which is very good. I'm certainly glad they're including that. This, our $3.5 million a year, ought to be able to at least fill it up with dirt and pave it, because that's what our annual income here is. But that was left for our last REAC inspection, so we could lose 10 points.
What year or when was that REAC inspection?
They did the inspection in August of 2007. They reported it in September, I think, 9th of 2007. And they dinged us 5 points for that particular trip and fall hazard, which has been there. It's been pointed out. We put it on the list of things to do. The board told them to do that they did not fix. There's another one right over there, another 5 points. That's 10 points right there, with 5 points that were lost with garbage being placed on a roof outside the director's house, on the window, upstairs. We lost another 5. We'd have passed the REAC, except for these slight little problems that somebody never corrected. But for that, we have to do an entire $100 million rehab with a refinancing that will totally wipe out all our original agreements, will prevent us from paying our mortgage off by November 1st, 2019, and will change all of the terms and keep us affordable for another 45 years and restrict our equity on our shares for another 45 years, no doubt. So they get to rewrite everything and take our property away from us and keep us from capitalizing, although we're 30 years into our mortgage and in 10 more years we can have it all paid off.
What is the address of this building?
Each one of these buildings has a different address. I don't know what this one is because they haven't put a number on it. 1749 is the Cam's residence, and each one of these has a different address along here. It goes up 49 and 51, that sort of thing. But that's Ellis Street. Right across the street is a marvelous park, recreation center. We're within walking distance of a shopping center, of the FILLMORE, which which is a historic area of San Francisco. It's just legendary. Right over there is a health clinic, and across the way is a school. We have a bunch of kids who could go there, but they somehow closed off all the elementary schools around here. So they have to go a little ways. I think that just about wraps up all the improvements they planned here. They may be replacing those fences, which we spent $40,000 installing just 5-10 years ago. But for some reason, even though they don't seem to be presenting any problems, they plan to replace them.
But what kind of fencing you think? Probably the same.
Maybe it wasn't stated in the, I didn't see the specifications for that. I didn't see it in the plan. They just said they were going to replace fencing.
Okay.
These are areas, this is the other area.
Step over, like right in the middle, right there, because I can get you and both sides. Go.
It's still not filled in, although it could be very easily, and we would have gained those points. Over here, these are not hazardous per se, but if they're going to do any work, they certainly ought to replace all the concrete, but they don't plan to do that. The $2 million a block won't allow them to replace all the concrete. They're going to be doing too much landscaping. But they will, in the event the construction work dislodges or, makes little mounds of dirt, they will smooth it out before they leave with our money. Another trip and fall. That'll be another 5 points on a react. Cracked pavement. They could fill that asphalt in. That wouldn't be expensive at all. But no, they're going to replace all of the asphalt.
With new asphalt or
With
concrete?
New asphalt. They've replaced it 2 or 3 times, and they just keep replacing it all instead of doing any repair work or any maintenance, or using quality asphalt that doesn't fall apart within 5 or 6 years. There's another little strip and fall. You come out of your car, you got your high heels on, you can fall over and land on the concrete. If your kids get a little bit off the sidewalk, they'll get caught, their wheels will be caught in there and they can get hurt. That's very simple to fix, but they haven't had time.
We have had shareholders already fall and hurt themselves on the property due to these type of problems, huh?
Right. And what happens is, if they do sue, because they have been hurt on our property, then they're told that they can't run for the board, they're told that they can't serve on election committees, they're told that, and their name is just walked in the mud because they've sued themselves, they've sued the complex. Yeah, it's blame the victim.
But it's not a policy in place that says, if you sued, you can't do those things yet.
No, most people...
That's just something they're trying to enforce.
Most people in America understand that you have a right to sue.
Right.
You have a right, if you're injured, to be reimbursed for your injuries. And we have liability insurance because people have that right to be protected on our property. The shareholders, the employees, people who are visiting. And we spend so much money on our liability insurance that we have the highest liability insurance in the entire country for housing cooperatives. Just one lawsuit costs $25,000 for the deductible for the insurer to consider taking the defense on it. And that's the attitude, that's a result of the attitude that you blame the victim instead of you deal with a problem and then you don't get sued and you responsibly protect the shareholders from being sued, from being hurt on their own property, from having their friends and the neighbors and visitors and people coming from the super shuttle or people coming from to help seniors get food or medical treatment from being hurt on our property. They have a right to be able to come and go at will without having a problem that's caused by this sort of neglect. Again, we have a $3.5 million coming in here every year, and somehow these problems still exist.
Okay.
Isn't it lovely? Over there's more landscaping. Let's see, I don't know where to go. We could go up there for a minute. Let's do, because there are some beams that have been replaced over here. Let's stop and I'll walk over there in a minute.
More landscaping that we're walking by as well. That's pretty gross.
Oh, let's go peek through at these properties here.
Mm-hmm.
Those two. Can you reach and see at least the top part of them? The gray building and the
Yes, we got it.
tawny orange. Those two properties,
Stay
about
there.
4 years ago, were on the market very briefly, and each of them sold for $1.2 million. I believe that was in 2005. The person who bought them for $1.2 million painted them, did some very nice landscaping in the back and in the front, sold them a year later for $2.3 million each. It appreciated $1 million in 1 year, and that appreciated $1 million in 1 year. Those two properties are 2-bedroom homes. We have townhouses over here that have 4 bedrooms. We have townhouses with 3 bedrooms. We have, as a cooperative, we price on the market a little less than a condo would, but a condo in our neighborhood goes for, a 2-bedroom condo goes for 707, I can't do the math, 750,000. Is that $750,000? That's almost $1 million. A 2-bedroom condo? So you would think that would mean our 2-bedroom apartments in a housing cooperative where you have a share that appreciates with the value of the real estate going up in this neighborhood, that your property and your asset would be worth at least $500,000 right now. But our share value is restricted. When HUD started creating these properties under the Carter administration in the 70s, I believe that was, possibly the 60s, the Housing Act allowed housing cooperatives to be federally subsidized. So you would have a Section 8 contract. You would in time be able to own the property and pay it off. And some of what you pay every month for quote-unquote rent.
Carrying charges?
Well, here they call it carrying charges. And the reason is because a portion of your carrying charges is for what other people would call rent, but some of it goes towards your equity. Some of it goes to pay the utilities for the entire property. Our mortgage is only $180 a month per household. And that includes the entire mortgage on 2 blocks of property with the exception of those 2 houses and 1 other. Other than that, these 2 blocks are all ours. We cannot sell our share at their actual market value until November 1st, 2019. Which leads me to believe that the reason that we have conditions like this, despite the fact that we received $30 million in Section 8 since the property became a co-op, over that actually by now, and we had the annual income I was telling you about. In spite of that, all these little problems in appearances and cosmetic and functional capability here are allowed to stay the way they are. The money somehow were an excuse for other people to take it and go with it somewhere. You don't see any evidence that it's been spent here. It doesn't improve magnificently our property like what was done in a year over there theirs is very nice paint, very nice landscaping. And in the 30 years that we've been a co-op, we don't have that yet. But who knows? If they were to, with our restricted equity, to force us into a tax credit plan, which is what they were trying to do in 2004, in 2005, and in 2006, they were trying to get us to agree that they would make repairs around here if we would sell them the property for the total value of our shares. The total value of our shares at that time was a little less than $550,000. In other words, a little less than a 2-bedroom apartment in our neighborhood. Quite a bit less than a 2-bedroom condo, and certainly half as much as one 2-bedroom home in the 2 blocks of property that we own. And for their $500,000, they would get 2 blocks of property, 15, 16 buildings, 211 apartments, a community center, a child care facility, 4 wash houses, the parking lots, play yards, maintenance shack, quite a bit of other little accoutrements. And I think that whoever bought them for that, all of that, for $500,000 would certainly spruce them up a tad and market them for quite a bit more than that. But our share means that we cannot, for another 10 years, sell our shares at their actual market value. So what they're doing is hoarding Section 8 violations, keeping us tied to our restrictions for another 10 years, but meanwhile letting these problems build up and using them to justify forcing us into some kind of a plan to take our property. Either a repair plan, which is in exchange for the promise of future repairs, that we would give them our property for $500,000 and then divide it among 211 people according to the unit size. That would be maybe an average of $2,000 a person. I don't know, I can't do the math. But the other thing that they could do is allow us to spend our money and control the expenditure and to actually have our money spent doing what it's supposed to be spent doing, which is improving our property, keeping and maintaining it, repairing it, keeping it up with HUD regulations. We're supposed to have a 2-year plan for maintenance, a 5-year plan for maintenance, and we had to go so far as to have 30 to 40 shareholders go to the Human Rights Commission in the fall of 2004 and complain about the management agent, its treatment of them, complain about the conditions of their apartments, which were so deplorable at that time that I hesitate to even tell you how bad it was.
Well, I know. I videotaped them myself.
One had what I would, maybe you could call it a moon room in Japan. Sometimes they allow a property to be open on the top so people can lay up there and look at the moon at night. Well, this is their home. The birds fly over, the rainy season hits. The lady in the apartment below the apartment with the moon room had mushrooms growing in her carpet. They had a man that has a heart condition who was sweeping every half hour to keep his living room ceiling from meeting the floor, because he has a patio above his living room, and the way that the places were designed in the first place, all these roofs are flat. That's a design defect. They were built flat. We have a very long rainy season in California. I don't know anybody that doesn't have pointed roofs. I mean, this is just standard. If you're going to make a little house or a steeple on a church, you make a pointed roof. But not King Garvey, they made ours flat. There were other little construction defects. Those were built in. They used them to because the property leaked from day one. They used those conditions to forced the prior owners into foreclosure and bankruptcy. 3 months before they recovered a $80,000 award against the contractor who built it like that. HUD took the property back in 1973. They kept it. They were forced by community activism in the Fillmore district to make it available as a housing co-op to its residents. They did not disclose those property conditions, nor did even their records show that they foreclosed the prior owner due to these problems. We didn't get a word of the fact that they got $80,000 that disappeared somewhere. That
$80,000 when?
In 1973.
Oh.
And it traveled with title to the property. So although the prior owners won it in arbitration, when the property was taken back by HUD, they got the $80,000 award. And when they combined the two properties and sold them to us, the residents, that money didn't come with it. Nor did we even get told that there were problems. People might know they had a problem in their apartment, but they didn't know that it was widespread or that it was due to design defects and construction defects. And even in 1978, it was against real estate law for any real property owner to sell that property to somebody else and not disclose a known defect. But we're poor, or at least low income, or moderate income. Most of us are minorities. A lot of us are female heads of household, raising families here. Sometimes for the generation in between that kind of got lost. And the grandparents are raising their grandchildren here under these conditions and without being given the information that they need as conscientious buyers and, you know, good homesteaders to be able to know what they're buying and to know and request that they get the benefit of the repairs that the prior owners were going to be able to make if they had gotten that award, which was awarded but not received for some reason. Over here, there are some beams. And while he's focusing on the beams, I'll walk over closer to them. Because they're an excellent example of the only way that we've been able to get any work done other than by taking the risk of reporting ourselves to the building department, to the health department, to the Human Rights Commission, as allowing violations on our property. Because every once in a while, there is an inspector in the building department who covers all of the rental properties in San Francisco. I think it takes him about 3 to 5 years to make his full circuit. Well, the last time he was out here, he cited our property for stairway problems and for problems with termites, for problems, they had boiler room leakages up here that deteriorated the wood. And this is what they did to fix it. They could have just gone and fixed it the way it should have been fixed, but no. They're waiting because they want to fix it during a rehab. They want to refinance us and do a rehab and do all the work that's never been done for 30 years in that rehab that will change all of our ownership rights. Those of us who have lived through 30 years of HUD-controlled property management have somehow survived. We get to see that every day. It doesn't make us feel good about our property or our home ownership. We know we're paying our rent, carrying charges, every month and have been for 30 years. But we don't see it being spent the way that we would expect our money and the taxpayers' money to be spent. See, we have a site-based Section 8 contract. So if there's any shareholder who cannot afford full market rate for their apartment each month, it's subsidized by the federal government. And essentially what we are is an excuse for somebody else to receive those funds and walk away with them. Because you see what we're left with. It's certainly not good use of the little bit of money.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is that? Citation?
I'm saying that I wasn't arrested.
Wow. Then why did they even bother?
Somebody that just got raped.
Of the victim that did the rape. They full of shit, man. Motherfuckers gotta start doing citizen complaints on their ass, man. Motherfuckers be letting them get away with too much. They ain't got a damn clue to what they doing right now. Fit the prescription. That's a cop-out. That's the easy way for the police to say, we have a right to see you. That's all that is.